Hey there, and welcome to Business Over Cocktails. I'm Lauren Najar, your host and hype woman, bringing you real talk about entrepreneurship. This is the podcast where we dive into the bold whys, the messy middles, and the game-changing aha moments that lead to success. You'll hear unfiltered stories from entrepreneurs, plus bite-sized solo episodes inside the Business Chaser series, where we cut through the noise and get straight to what actually drives sales, visibility, and growth. So whether you're here to get fired up or finally feel seen in your business journey, pull up a seat, pour your favorite drink, and let's have a real conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Business Over Cocktails. Today, I am with Jenny Pena. She is your blood sugar bestie and your wellness guide, and she is your diabetes prevention health coach. But remember her as your blood sugar bestie because that obviously is going to be more memorable. I am so excited to get in on this conversation with her because Jenny's been one of my clients for a while now. Like we've been connected, I think, since like December or January. And of course, I know her about her business. I know little bits and pieces, but now today I get to learn more about you and why you started this business and all of the things. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
So, of course, let's just start with like the basic question. Why did you become a diabetes coach?
Oh, wow. Well, this was definitely not planned because I had a completely different career, completely different major, like nothing medical. I'm actually an industrial engineer and I have worked in finance for many years. Pretty much like that has been my career path my entire life. And it was through my personal journey and trying to find solution to my own health problems, plus seeing a lot of my family members being touched by diabetes that provoked me, I guess, out of fear not to end up like them because I lost my grandmother to diabetes and I was already starting to see the signs and see how it was impacting my health. And I enrolled in one of the health coaching programs, not necessarily to launch a business or try to change my career, but pretty much just to find a solution to my own health problem. Because I felt like going to doctors sometimes it was about addressing the symptom, but not the root cause. And I mean, like before I was 30, I was already diagnosed with pre-diabetes, working in Wall Street. I was like living my best life. At least that's how I like to imagine it. But my health habits, my sleep habits, they were not the best. So even though I was not even overweight or obese, how a lot of people have the misconception that they think that they need to be overweight or obese to start showing signs of like pre-diabetes or diabetes. That was not the case with me. And I was already showing the signs very early on. But when I was put into that medication, the side effects were horrible. And I realized that it was impacting even my performance at work and all these other areas of my life were impacted. That I'm like, I need to figure out how to resolve this before it gets developed and how I can do it without medication. So after doing that and doing some practice coaching sessions when I was going to school, I just found so much joy in helping others and also knowing what it is to be a busy professional that has a family, that has kids, that is working long hours, that you're trying to thrive in your career, that you're doing all these things. How can you find time to also address these things and support your own health, which is always a challenge?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I don't think I knew you were an industrial engineer. My dad actually was. So right out of the gate, I'm thinking about him. And so he passed away almost 15 years ago now. But he was a type 2 diabetic as well. And he was definitely overweight. He was on medication for a really long time. And I was too young to know like when that started. But it's so interesting to me. I didn't know that you are an industrial engineer. You had I think I knew about the finance world. But what's so crazy about these stories that when I get to have these conversations with people that I know or that I work alongside with is like, a lot of you have had, in this story specifically, you were in the finance sector and now you're in the complete opposite thing. I spoke to someone yesterday where they were a nurse and now they're a nail salon owner. And it's just like, crazy, crazy, crazy. And like when I think of like, my trajectory, I went to school for finance. I have a finance degree. I was in banking. Now I do a lot of marketing, but that's not really like a huge pivot. So, what was it about like being an industrial engineer, being in the finance industry? Why did you want to get that job in the first place?
Okay. So my career, and even a lot of people are like, well, you're an industrial engineer. How in the world did you end up in finance? But I grew up in the Dominican Republic, and a major bank is actually the largest bank in the Caribbean, was the first one that decided to implement and have a group of industrial engineers to do the internal systems. How do you open an account? How do you design those forms, right? So instead of manufacturing and quality control, when you produce good that you can actually measure, going into finance was so like enticing to me because I felt that it was challenging. It's like, wow, like it's easier to measure if you are producing shoes, if they're the high quality, are they following the standards? But when it comes to service business, how do you actually evaluate that? So to me, them being pioneers, I started doing like an internship there. They ended up hiring me. I worked for them for many years, and it shifted because I love the connection of numbers and analyzing things and the connection with people. Now, with health coaching, you would think like, where is this connection? Like, how in the world did you go from that to that? But health coaching is all about not necessarily to tell you what to do, because I think there's an avalanche of information out there. And I think most of us probably intuitively know what to do, but it's more about how can you make that change sustainable? And that's where the health coach with behavioral techniques and things that we learn, we help you incorporate the changes, incorporate these things in a way that they're going to be sustainable, that fit your life. And you can go from, oh, I know I need to eat more fruits and vegetables. I know I need to incorporate movement, but that can actually look very different from person to person because we all have very unique lives and very unique styles and preferences. So thinking about that in the way that I saw that I could work in the finance world and look at processes and, auditing. I ended up being an auditor. So now I had to look at how everything was done. Are you in compliance? Are you following procedures? So now taking all that approach and moving it into how can you actually incorporate this goal and turn it from a dream into something that you can actually reach and you can actually do. And that's how I ended up switching somehow. I found the connection.
I think that I'm always thinking of different things that I would love to do. And I know that my husband has said something about like becoming almost like a kettlebell coach because he's getting really into like kettlebells over the last couple of years and just like really nailing his form and talk about like, you have conversations of like, if you could go do it all over again, like what would you do? And health also comes up to me too. But I also think that has to do a lot with like, the things I went through, personal history, my family history. And so I wanted to ask you, like, you shared some of the things that have happened as to why you went down this path, but do you feel like it was more so for your own reasoning of your own health, or was it more so of your grandma like passing away from diabetes?
I think it was a combination. Initially, sometimes you go through certain things or you see other family members go through certain things, and you don't see that as, oh, that's not going to happen to me. That just happened to them. They were not careful. That will never happen to me. I'm doing great. I remember the first time that I heard, well, your levels are in pre-diabetic. I'm like, oh, that's probably an outlier. Like the labs probably had an issue. Like I feel nothing. I'm doing well. I'm fine. I thought I was eating well. I thought I was exercising. But to see that, it initially started with me like being concerned, like, okay, like, do I want to end up like my grandmother, right? Like she had no vision. She couldn't see me anymore. She had to touch me to know like how I was growing, which is kind of cute and sad at the same time because she couldn't see me. Like she went on a surgery and couldn't survive the surgery, right? Because of everything was complications from diabetes. So the moment that I heard that, initially I wanted to dismiss it because it's easier to dismiss. So you don't have to do anything. Let's pretend it doesn't exist. It's a mistake. You're wrong. And just keep going. But then the following year, when I went to get checked, it was even more elevated. Now it's like, okay, you need to go on medication. If not, you're going to end up developing diabetes. And that was the wake up call. Then hearing other cousins saying that they were all getting diabetes. And I'm like, okay, I need to raise awareness. So now I tell everybody, but it was kind of like 50-50. I'm going to say that part for my own health, but at the same time, it ignited something in me to be like, okay, like if I was able to reverse this, if I was able to make these changes and still find balance in my entire life, right? Like not just the food, not just the exercise, then I can teach this to other people. And that's what kind of like pushed me into this.
When did it go from like caring, like this is a topic I care about, you know, I want to make a difference to like actually like I want to pursue this as a business and I'm going to put my business thinking hat on?
Because to me, I think that I started thinking of, okay, maybe I know all these things, but do I have the credentials? Am I going to be respected? Am I going to be seen as authority? So for me, it was very important, me being so analytical to kind of like, okay, I'm going to get all the credentials I need. That's why I'm like, I'm going to be national board certified. I'm going to do everything I need to do to make sure that I am equipped, not just in the emotional side, because I know how diabetes can touch you emotionally. How can it impact your family? How can it impact your social life, right? Like
Mhm.
even, being overwhelmed, all the advice that's out there. Like that I can relate because I went through it. But I felt that if I didn't get the credentials, if I didn't make it formal, it was just going to be just somebody that is randomly giving me advice and maybe I was not going to be taken seriously. So I needed to have that backup and so that I can have the confidence. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm telling you. And it's not just because I went through it, but I've also gotten everything that it needs to be in terms of academics, in terms of credentials, so that now I can launch my business and help these people because some are clueless.
What does it mean to you to help others get that confidence and clarity as they navigate diabetes?
Because there's a lot of fear involved in it. And I can relate to it. Thinking about my grandmother and how her last years were, it's scary. But it is almost like the fear of, oh, this is what's going to happen. And a lot of potential clients, people that I talk to, what they think is that the moment that they hear diabetes, that there is nothing that they can do, that there is no point of return, that I'm going to be tied to this medication forever. I'm going to lose my vision. I'm going to have, like every single side effect that can come out of that. They feel that there is no way out. And one thing that I want to tell everybody is that there is a way out and there are things that you can do. There is no guarantee that if you are a diabetic that you're going to completely reverse it, but there are a lot of people that have done that. And with pre-diabetes, the CDC has tons of data that says that with lifestyle changes, you're able to balance your blood sugar and lower your A1C. But a lot of people were like, oh, okay, I'm a diabetic. Fine, give me the medication. And there is nothing, no talk from the doctor about lifestyle changes. Like even when I was diagnosed with prediabetes, I was given metformin and I was told exercise more and try to eat more vegetables. Those were the two advices.
And I don't have diabetes, I'm not pre-diabetic. I've had a lot of health issues in my life with cancer and all the things I need to navigate. And, one of the things that is very real for me, and I get asked this at every appointment when I go and see my oncologist. I love my team. I love, it's bittersweet to actually see them. I love them so much. But one of the things that they are most concerned about is to give me a statin for potential cholesterol issues and potential clogged artery issues because of the radiation I received around my heart and my chest. And the thing that you mentioned about like medication and like how you felt and made you feel rough is like I know that something like a statin is known to make you feel different. And I don't have a real reason at the moment, right? Regardless if it happens later on in life or not, like, if the radiation affects my heart in some way, that's yet to be seen. But they really want me to go on this thing. And I just like really don't want to. And so it hasn't been like a huge fight because again, I see them once a year. And so every moment though, when I go at the end of the year, every year, I'm just like, oh, they're going to have to ask me again. And again, I know through lifestyle changes and like just obviously making sure that I'm not going to have clogged arteries, like I can get through that. But I also am just so conscious of the fact that like I know I'm going to feel different if I ever have to be on it. And so like that fears, I don't want to be on medication the rest of my life. But I know that I'm in the minority of that. I think that a lot of people, what you just said also, they get assigned this medication and then they think, well, the medication makes me feel better. I don't need to do the work. Kind of like we're seeing that with like Ozempic and stuff too, where like people are taking the Ozempic and then they are just eating less of bad food and they're actually not implementing the lifestyle changes. So do you see that a lot? Like, do you feel like it's more or less likely like people actually want to come off the medication?
I think that if people knew that there will be ways of either lower the medication or eliminate the medication, they would focus on that more.
Mm,
But the major perception is that I already have it. And even when you can go to like Facebook forums and go online, a lot of people like to refer to it. I didn't reverse it. Once you have diabetes, you always have diabetes, which it can be a conflict. And I'm still like in the middle of it because I feel like, I don't know if I would declare that. But some people like to say I'm in remission. I'm going to be able to put it in remission because they feel that the moment that you have it, you will always have it. And the reason why I get a bit conflicted in my heart when I hear that is because it lends to believe that, oh, you have that and that's it. There is nothing you can do. And that's where I have the problem with the whole remission. And, like, I'm like, no, like I'd rather be technical and say you can lower your A1C level and improve your chances of avoiding all of these side effects, because sometimes it's not even the diabetes, it's what happens if you don't manage that, right? Like, are you going to get kidney disease? Or like, are you going to have your vision impacted? There are so many other things like cardiovascular health. All of these things are interconnected. But I think a lot of my clients and potential clients, they truly feel that the moment that they get that medication, that they have to be on it for the rest of their lives.
mm-hmm.
And I'm here to say that that's not 100% true. Not that I'm saying ditch the medication without talking to your doctor, but you should have that conversation and say, what can I do in lifestyle changes to help and maybe taper off this medication? And I've had clients that have done that, that they started with Ozempic and metformin, and they had a myriad of things. And they started working on their lifestyle changes. And guess what? Like last time I touched base with one of my former clients, he said that he's only on metformin. He has been able to eliminate a lot of other things because he was losing weight, he's changing the way he's eating, and he's not afraid. Now he's learning that it's not by restrictive diets or doing all these extreme measures, but finding balance. He has been able to do that. So if there's one thing that I would say to anyone is that don't feel that the moment that you hear that word pre-diabetes or diabetes, that there is no way for you to try to work on that and reverse it.
So you just kind of talked us through like one of your clients, right? So how do you specifically work with people?
Well, typically they get on a call with me and we just talk. We just talk about, okay, like, what are your goals? What have you tried? Like, we always think about that dream. And I joke a lot with pretty much all of my clients saying, like, well, we all like to say that I just want to exercise more or I want to lose 10 pounds, right? So we focus on the end goal, but then we lose the fact of the why. Like, why is that even important? So on that very first call that I have with my clients, we not only talk about, oh, these are the issues, but it's like, okay, why is this important? Because you're spending time to talk to me, right? Like you could be doing anything else in this busy world. So there is something about it that you want to address, and there's a reason why. Can it be out of like, I don't want to end up like my grandmother. I want to be healthy, be able to run around my kids or my grandkids, right? I am not going to be, passing out at 3 o'clock because I have no energy and my blood sugars are going up and down throughout the day. So a lot of these things are the things that we talk about. But okay, like this is kind of like the physical part, but where is the emotional side as to why you want to pursue this, right? Because health coaching is an investment. Why do you want to even invest in this versus ignoring it or following what the doctor is saying, just taking the medication and keep moving?
I think that's the biggest thing too of like why anyone has results with anything is that it has to be tied to your why. And it can be just like surface level reasons, but I think the deeper the why, the more transformation you have. So I think like that's super important to always like remind yourself of like the purpose and the why behind like what it is that you do, because that's going to set you up for success more. And it could just be like, oh, well, I wanna look better. Okay, cool, but, like, I'm sure that there are different, like, deeper reasonings behind that, like and I've heard of people say, like, "I wanna, like, be able to be active with my kids in 10 years, when I'm, like, 40, approaching 50 years old. I wanna make sure that I'm healthy," and so I think, like yeah, like, having a deeper purpose is going to be super beneficial.
Sometimes at the beginning, there is an exercise that sometimes I do called the 5 whys. That is like to go deeper. And it can be a bit annoying to some people. They're like, okay, like you're asking me this over and over, but it's just to provoke you to really go deep as to why is this important? Like you're investing time, you're investing money, you're trying to make changes. Isn't it easier to just let it be and not change? It's easier to not change, but there is something in you. And sometimes having that clarity, that's why my initial calls are called clarity calls, because I feel that after that call, you will have clarity. And whether you want to work with me or not, you're going to be clear as to why you want to make that change. Not just, I just want to lose the 10 pounds, but why is that even important to you?
Yeah. So, how do you balance, like, being supportive and empathetic because, like, health coaching and, like, weight is so personal, and health is so personal, and so, like, you need to be empathetic, right? Like, that's why people are coming to you and not getting results with their doctors is that there might be some bedside manner issues there and just prescribe the medications and that's it. But what about you and what you do? Like yes, you want to be empathetic and hear them, and like you mentioned like how you just have conversations. But like, how do you then also you don't do the hand holding and you like have them take ownership of their own health?
Well, I always remember this one thing that one of my instructors when I was going to health coaching said, like, you're supposed to hold the mirror back to the person
Mm.
and you even coach the person and not the goal itself or the illness, right? Like I am a diabetes prevention health, that's like my specialty, but I can technically coach you on anything
Mhm.
because in the end, I'm coaching you. Now, there are different traits that you should have, and it's like non judgment. I'm going to meet you exactly where you are. And that's the difference between a health coach and a doctor. A doctor is very prescriptive. We love doctors, but sometimes they only have 10 minutes to be with you. They can't go through a lot of all the things that go in your life and in your world. And again, sometimes they will do that blank statement as to, okay, just eat healthier and have some like exercise more. But then as a health coach, I talk to you and let's say you want to exercise more. Okay, like what are the exercises that you actually enjoy? What is your time? What type of resources you have available? And then towards the end, when you set a goal as a client, you're the one setting the goal. And you have to be confident that, okay, like I'm committing myself to it. And all I do is just pretty much be there to support you and guide you and maybe shed light that, oh, you've never been into a gym and all of a sudden you have a goal of spending 2 hours every day at the gym. I may ask you more questions. I may not even say do it or don't do it, but I may ask, okay, like, do you have a gym membership? How is your schedule? What are the days that you're planning on doing this? Because the one thing that sometimes happens is that you will set a goal that is really unattainable for your current life. And then when you don't have it, you feel like there is no possibility for me to change. And that's not true.
Yeah, and I think like the empowerment issue or the empowerment aspect of it all like is so important and Like, again, when we think about, like, why and purpose and, like, lasting change, I think the other side of this is true, like, you have to take ownership over this as well, like, you can provide all the tools and strategies, but, like, taking ownership of what you need help with is so important for your clients. Do you find that there's, like, certain tools or strategies that help people more than others?
I typically get to know the person. It's funny how a lot of people, I'm like, okay, there's so many tools, and I can give you all the technical terms, which I will not bore you with, but in the end, it's about listening. Funny enough, listening, because at times we're so busy, then you have this client that is scheduling this time, and this may be the only time that they have that entire week to invest in themselves and have that space to really reflect as to these are the things that I need to change. What can I actually do? Where can I start? I had a client that felt that she could not exercise. And we started with like, okay, you are just going to get the clothing out and you're going to put it on the couch. That's your goal. Then you're going to put it on. And then we're going to start with 5 minutes. Client is walking 45 minutes a day now. And that was the client that said you couldn't. So sometimes it's just let's make a ridiculous goal that is so ridiculous that there's no way you cannot not do it, right? Like you won't be able to say like you can't find 5 minutes. Tell me that you cannot find 5 minutes. No. Even while you're watching Netflix, if
Yeah.
there's an ad or there's a like you will find 5 minutes. So you start there, and the fact that they accomplish that tiny goal, that simple goal, gives them that vote of confidence, and it gives that a quick win. And that's another thing that I try to do is, okay, let's focus on one thing that you're going to see an impact that is positive quick. Because the moment that you see that, you're like, oh, this actually works and it's worth it.
The next question I was gonna ask you is your favorite client success story. Do you have another one than that one?
Oh God. Okay. Well, this one it's almost like I get emotional because
Mm.
I grow so close to my clients that it's almost like friends. Oh my God. I'm trying not to get emotional. Okay. She was over 300 pounds and she was pretty much overweight most of her life, to the point that she couldn't go to Disney and get on all the rides that she wanted to because she would exceed or she wouldn't fit. Something would happen that had to do with weight. It was not even about, feeling confident or beautiful or anything like that. Now she is about 75 pounds lost of weight. She went to Disney World and she sent me a picture of her.
Oh
And she
my
was like, I
god.
cannot believe that for the first time I have been able, and you see, this is the thing about the why. I have not been able to get on these rides, and now I can because I am no longer over the weight limit
Ugh, I
and
have
I actually fit.
goosebumps.
So to me, yes, health is important. Yes, I don't want you to have cardiovascular health issues or anything like that. But to have that empowerment and like to see the glow. And this was a client that actually had the boyfriend pay for the program. She did not
Wow.
even want to be part of the program. And it was through that exercise. Why do you even want this? Because I remember when I asked, he's like, well, my boyfriend is paying for this. Like that was, and I'm not exaggerating, even with the attitude. He's just paying for it. So I'm just coming because he's paying for it.
Wow.
That was the whole start point. And now you're seeing somebody that's going to the gym, somebody that's thinking of being in law enforcement, somebody that now is like, oh, I can actually change, and not only change, but I can actually live this life that was almost unattainable because of me being overweight.
Yeah.
So that
Wow.
is like my biggest, I don't know, like so far it has been the one that has touched me the most. And she's still working on it. She's still kind of like working on it. But at this point, she is around the 200-pound mark. Like, so she's working through it and she's excited. And now she's motivated because she saw the impact of, oh, wow, like now I can actually do this.
Wow. I love that too, because again, going back to like the why and the purpose, she could easily have said, oh, my boyfriend wants me to. I want to be healthier for my boyfriend. But like it was such a specific why and purpose of like, I want to go on the rides at Disney World.
Something as simple as that. And then how that catapulted into Now she has all these other dreams because before in her mind, she felt that there is nothing like I cannot even dream about these things
Yeah.
because of my weight. It was canceling her own voice.
Yeah. That's such a special like testimonial. Like that's so cool. So staying on the same subject though, so like what's been the most rewarding part of your business?
Seeing that they will come back to me and be like, wow, like I've seen all these changes and I can see myself doing this for the rest of my life.
Don't you feel like it's wonderful when you have the number and the tangible results of like, you just mentioned your client has lost 75 pounds, almost 100 pounds. And and I resonate a lot with that where it's so wonderful when I'm seeing these instant gratifications of when you have workshop participants or you get signups or you sign a client and like those are exciting. But what I love and what gets me emotional, and I think you share the same thing, is like it's those moments where that person for you went from I don't care about this program, I'm just doing it because someone's paying, to then like emotions of like I was able to complete this. Like when I had my retreat, a month ago, and I had people enter the retreat and they knew that they were going to have some sort of experience, but then like the content that I saw and their reflections after the retreat and just how they're writing and how they're showing up and all these things, that means so much more to me than someone making $1 million. Like the transformation in your mind is so, and I'm a business coach and I love numbers and I love all those things, but it means so much more to me that there has been a shift in your mindset of how you show up, how you execute, and how you are doing the thing, because it just means that you're going to get there faster to where you want to go. And again, like it's cool that we can say, I helped my client lose 20 pounds, 75 pounds, they are healthier and their A1C dropped and you can have all those tests and everything too. But how wonderful it is that that person for you had that transformation of like, I don't care to do this program to now this has been life changing for me.
And I had another client because especially with weight loss, we get so caught up on the number, but then there are other things that come with it that sometimes you don't think through, but then as you go through the process, you realize that. And it's the same thing with diabetes. You don't realize how much you were moody, how lack of energy you had, how lack of focus you had, how you were not even as productive at work because your blood sugar is going up and down throughout the day. You really are not having the energy that you need to even be 100% yourself at work and giving your best. But I had this other client, and she's like, I went with my family to New York, and all the time we did a lot of walking. I'm based in New York City. So she lived in a different state, and they came to New York to visit. And she was saying that every time they would do that, they always had to wait on her because she couldn't keep up with the walking. So they had to take breaks every so often because they couldn't keep up. So she's been working on her habits, incorporating exercise, slowly losing weight, not even, big numbers. And the one thing that her kids say, there are grown up kids with the grandchildren, Mom, you're doing amazing. Like, you've been able to keep up with all of this and you have not been able to ask for a break. And then she realized that that is actually true. She has more energy, more endurance. Now she feels confident that she can go on these trips. And even if there's a lot of walking involved, she's not afraid of it. Look at the social impact that it has just to do that, to incorporate that and have more energy. So it's not just about the number, it's not just about the fear of developing some sort of illness. Your quality of life is going to change
Yeah.
and your family is going to see it. And who wouldn't want that?
Yeah. It's life changing, truly. What do you think has been one of the harder parts of what you do?
I think like the most disappointing thing has been when, and I know that technically the health coach is not responsible for somebody else's change, but it always touches me when I see that maybe that person is in that position that they're not ready for change and they just don't do anything. And I had a client that at the moment was a prospect. We talked I was like, well, I have pre-diabetes. I'm going to be able to do it on my own. I don't have diabetes yet. I can do it. And didn't sign up. And later on, I find out that he was actually diagnosed with diabetes. And I was like, oh, I wish this, I wish that. Like, it was kind of like a lot of lament between it. So whenever I work with someone or I see or I have a clarity call with someone and I know that, okay, like I can help this person. I know exactly what they need to do to see change, but they don't see it themselves. It's kind of disappointing because you kind of want to shake them and you try to kind of like do it using all your coaching skills, but at times they're just not ready. And that person has to be ready for change. You can only try to let them dig deeper and again tap to their why, but sometimes they're just not ready. But eventually, I feel like they are. But that's like the most disappointing thing when you're trying to coach and you know that you can, like, I know I can help you. There are people that you talk to and you know that, okay, I may not be the solution for you, but explore this. And I always try to do that out of integrity. Like, okay, maybe I am not what you need, but I believe you should explore this. And I will be honest and do that. But there are some that you speak that you know exactly. I'm like, I can help you, but they can't see it. And
Ugh.
that's like the disappointing part.
Yeah, that's the hardest part too, because I think I share a similar thing where I'm like, ugh, like I want to help everyone, and I can easily just like give free help to everybody and give tips, and like obviously we can't do that for everyone, and people need to be ready to receive support as well, regardless of what they're doing. And I, when you were talking, I have someone in my life who has a business who thinks that they don't need social media, but they do have a social media presence. They just feel like marketing is not useful on social media for their business. And it just like I have so many ideas and like it could be so good for this business and for this person that it's frustrating. But we can't make them do anything. We can't make them get the results. We can't make them lose the weight. Like like those people have to want it for themselves.
There has to be a little bit of that desire. And that's what you typically try to do at the beginning. And I mean, one tool that I have used, it's almost like doing that complete contrast and be like, okay, so what is the cost of you not doing anything? Like, how is it working for you now? And if you're happy with the results and the possible future that it will take you to do nothing, you're making a conscious decision because doing nothing is a decision.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm not ready to make a decision. I'm like, well, you're making a decision to walk away from something. So that is a decision. Now, what is the cost of that? A lot of people, they will come and say, well, health coaching program, it's expensive. And when I start telling them numbers about, well, like, how much do you think like the medication will cost if this kind of like goes sideways? Like, how much of your quality life could you even quantify that? My client that went to Disney, can she even put number to that experience?
Yeah.
And the risk, what is she avoiding? What is she delaying? Right? Like what are you actually doing that is going to prevent you from side effects from medication, from appointments, from complications? Especially diabetes starts with diabetes, and then all of a sudden you start developing all these other conditions. Now it turns into what is called metabolic syndrome. So now you're having high blood pressure, or you're having the combined with the high blood sugar. So all these things, they pile up. Before you know it, you have all these other complications. So what is the cost of that? So there is still a price that you're paying. Why not do it for prevention versus trying to correct something and you don't even have the assurance that that's going to work when the moment comes?
Yeah. How do you think you've grown personally since embarking in this industry?
I've learned to listen more.
Hmm.
And I love to educate, and I'm a talker, and I could talk for hours. And sometimes you have to stop me. And I'm very passionate, right? Like I just love, and that's one thing that when you do health coaching, like oh, health coaches actually listen a lot more. Like we don't really talk much. We just listen. And then we reflect and we ask questions that will provoke that client to go deeper and to find their own solutions, right? Because they're the experts on themselves. They have that gut feeling that guides them. So it's completely different. So now the approach has been that. The other thing that I have taken away is balance. Like I was a workaholic, work 12-hour days, work on weekends. And now like having my son, having my own time, it has created that need to put those boundaries and set time that, you know, I could work on my business all the time. I could be like midnight and here I am doing it and I have all these ideas and I'm always going about things that I want to do. And if I don't put a stop, then I will never invest on other things. So I need to spend time with my son, spend time doing nothing and watching a movie or grabbing a drink. Like it has to be a balance so that you let even your brain be more creative. Most of my ideas typically come on Sundays. I was like, okay, what is it about Sundays? It's because Sundays I typically try not to do any work. I
Right.
may be on social media a little bit, share something of what I'm doing with my family, but outside from that, I try not to. And guess what? Sometimes when you see me with the note app writing things down because then an idea will pop out of nowhere. So creating that balance has helped me tremendously and knowing like how important it is not just to do the thing, but also to find that time of rest so that you can actually be productive and be focused.
Yeah. I love that. It really hit me when it's like, listen more, because I think, like, again, coming from the finance aspect as well, and like my brain is very analytical, and you want to jump to the solution. And I'm even learning how to do that in like my relationships. Like, I literally told my husband this morning, he was venting about something, and I instantly am just like, well, just do this. And I instantly want to help. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad quality, but I think like when we think of like traditional coaching, like yes, health coaching, but like coaching in general, like we do have to listen. And like that can also go into like our relationships and you can be a better listener and communicator that way. So I think that is such a good thing to have learned and evolved into, doing what you're doing. But last question, last thing is how can people learn more about you and where can people connect with you?
Well, so I am in Instagram, Coach Jen P, and I have my webpage. And over there, there's like all the information about my coaching programs as well as workshops that I try to schedule every month that are free. And that is www.jennypena.com.
Thank you so much. And I love learning more about you and just like the inner workings of your brain, I feel, and just like your thought process. I feel like I got to know so much about that.
It was so nice to be here and share a little bit about all things my life and also like my business. So
Yeah. Well, Jenny will be with us later this week at the Business Chaser episode that will air on this Friday. She will come back and share some diabetes prevention tips and topics. So make sure you tune in on Friday. Thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business Over Cocktails, where real stories and bold business moves come to life. If this episode lit something up in you, share it with a friend, tag me at Lauren Najar or the podcast page at Business Over Cocktails. Make sure to leave a quick review as well. It helps more than you know. Until next time, keep chasing what matters and building the business that feels like you. Cheers!